I just wanted to do a quick summary of what happened today at Ideas Café because it was really interesting, and apologies for the wind. Hopefully you can still hear me. So Ideas Café was awesome. I always get energy doing that event. We call it Lean Coffee. We used to call it Lean Coffee, but just the people coming together with a sense of a question in them, and actually leaving with a sense of connection. That's the most powerful thing I get from Ideas Café and Lean Coffee. So two questions that came up, which were really interesting, has sparked some really crunchy discussions, or insightful discussions, I'd say. So the first question someone asked was basically, how do I sell without feeling like a four-letter word person? So they were looking, I would assume, for advice on how to sell their app in a more efficient way. You know, where do I sell the app? Who do I talk to? But what it came down to was actually they're really uncomfortable selling. They didn't like the idea of selling. They thought the idea of a salesperson was some kind of slimy used car salesperson, which just didn't resonate with them. They like to make things, and it reminds me of the masterclass that we did with Pete Mosley around selling authentically. And that's the thing that he didn't really get into his head, the idea that he could sell authentically. What he thought he had to do was try and push his product. So it was a really interesting discussion where some people started talking about, oh, you should do SEO, you should do this type of marketing, all the technical things that you should do about getting the word out. But the fundamental problem, and the real deep problem, was he wasn't really comfortable about selling the product himself, because he really didn't know what it meant to sell. And what came out of the conversation was to sell authentically is to be passionate about what you do and know it solves a problem for someone, and really caring about the person you want to help. So then it becomes more effortless when you're selling. You just go out there looking for people that you can help and say, this is a thing that can help you. And that really unlocked something for him. It was really fascinating to see him just the shoulders go down and him think, that's how I can look at it. And then the other question, which was again quite interesting, started one place and went to another, was how can I scale a business that's just beyond me? So there's a brand that's built about their business, but they're only a one-person band. They're essentially selling their time, and so they think, how can I scale this up? How can I actually start selling products? How can I start maybe getting other people on board? Do I do licensing? Do I do this? How do I get the word out further? So there's this discussion about, again, what are the tactics? What do you do? Who do you talk to? You know, do you get a marketing person in? Where do you sell your stuff? But then the question came down to, actually, what does scale mean to you? What are you trying to do by scaling your business? Because on one hand, they wanted to create more impact, and they wanted to grow impact across across their audience. But ultimately, they said they didn't want to be selling their time, because I assumed they wanted more time for themselves. And then we asked, what do you want to do with that extra time? And they didn't know. So there's this weird thing, is actually, I want to scale, but I don't know why I want to scale. And that's, I think, one of the fundamental things that we try and tackle at a Happy Startup School, is like, you have this thing that you want to do around the business and around startup and around growth. But actually, unless you know why you want to do it in the first place, all the advice that you're going to get around from people isn't really going to help. So I thought I'd share with that, just in case, you guys had the same kind of questions and you're thinking, I want to be able to get more of my product out of the door, and how do I launch this thing and get people to like it, and what are the tactics? Fundamentally, there's loads of tactics. There's loads of people in this group and loads of people in our community who can help you with that. What you need to find out is, what is it that you're trying to do for people, and does that feel authentic to you, and do you feel comfortable helping those people with what you do? And then with the scale thing, is actually, what is it you're trying to achieve that's beyond the money, beyond making more money, or beyond getting more time? What would you do with that time? And then everything else is pretty simple, really. Anyway,